In The Shield, we follow Detective Vic Mackey and his strike team, consisting of Lem, Shane and Ronnie. The crew look to clean up the streets of Farmington while lining their own pockets. But over the course of the show, the gang's criminality has them commit dangerous heists that threaten the stability of the team and the safety of the characters, leading to a devastating ending. When I started the show back in season 1, I remember thinking, this is good, really good actually. Fast-paced, intense, grimy, full of energy. But it also felt very episodic, like a really entertaining cop show where Vic Mackey and the strike team just bounce from one crisis to another every week. And then slowly, the show started changing. Storylines started bleeding into each other. Consequences stopped disappearing after an episode. Characters become warped by previous decisions, their cohesion cracking with every one of their new hijinks. The strike team stop feeling like untouchable cowboys and they start feeling like doomed men dragging a mountain of sins behind them. By the end of the series, The Shield barely resembles the show it started as. It's still got the look and feel, but it transforms from a chaotic but procedural cop drama into something much darker, a tragedy about corruption, self-delusion, loyalty, guilt, and men destroying themselves while convincing themselves they are doing the right thing. And I think that transformation is why the show gets better and better as it goes on. Well, mostly. Some of you have been saying it's been a while since I've made a video on The Shield, and to that I say, get over it, don't bring it up again. Today I want to rank every season of the show from weakest to strongest. Let me know what your own ranking looks like down in the comment section below, and while you're there, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. All in all, I think The Shield is a great show. It's not quite up in the stratosphere like with The Wire and The Sopranos. Well, nothing is really. But you may be surprised that I prefer it to the likes of, say, Breaking Bad. It's just got an unrelenting, ferocious energy to it that acts as an endorphin drug. And aside from one season, I pretty much liked all of them, with two particular seasons elevating the show into the conversation with the all-time great television dramas. So let's get into it. And please note, this video will contain spoilers. At number 7, Season 6. Season 6 is the only season of The Shield that I genuinely came away disappointed by. And what makes it frustrating is that it came immediately after what I think is clearly the best season of the show. Season 5 ends with Lem's death, Kavanaugh spiraling into obsession, the strike team shattered beyond repair, and it feels like the show is about to enter absolute nuclear meltdown territory. But then Season 6 starts and it just never quite gets going. The biggest issue for me is that it doesn't really feel like a complete season in its own right. It feels like both an epilogue and a precursor, like a bridge between Season 5 and 6 rather than a fully formed story with its own identity. The Kavanaugh stuff especially really threw me off. Forrest Whitaker comes back, and initially it feels like we're continuing that war from Season 5. He's planting evidence, manipulating people, completely losing himself in his obsession with Vic, and then suddenly he's just gone. 2 episodes in and one of the best characters in the show just disappears. I was honestly stunned by how abrupt that storyline ended. Not just because Whitaker was so brilliant, but because Kavanaugh brought such a specific energy to the show. Every scene with him felt tense, unpredictable, like he was psychologically dissecting everyone around him, playing the game on a different level. And we were back with round 2, only for Kavanaugh to check out early. I have done a video on why exactly the character gave up so early if you're interested, so I won't talk about it too much here. But that was a big mark against the season for me. Without Kavanaugh, Season 6 just loses a huge amount of momentum. And beyond that, the season just feels really odd, directionless. There's gang politics, Armenian storylines, cartel stuff, Shane moving deeper into criminality, Vic training his replacement Hayat who disappears after this season, Cruz Pezuela pulling strings in the background. But very little of it really lands. It doesn't feel like it has any weight to it. It's as if the writers were given half the amount of their usual time to come up with storylines, with them also having to move the chess pieces around the board to set up the final season. It's weird because The Shield is normally such a pressure cooker of tension, But season 6 often lacks that feeling because we already know more than the characters. We know Vic didn't kill them, but the cops suspect him. We know Guado didn't kill them, but Vic spends his time tracking him down. So for a while, the show's just waiting for everyone else to catch up to information we already have. There are still great moments. Vic discovering Shane killed Lem is phenomenal. Michael Chiklis and Walter Goggins are fantastic. Claudette becoming captain works well. Dutch and Billings become an unexpectedly entertaining duo. But overall, season 6 feels scattered, transitional, and coming after season 5, it really sticks out. At number 6, season 1. It's worth mentioning that the first 3 seasons are a little blurred in my brain, but I remember enough of season 1 to know it's fascinating to go back to the beginning because the show feels so different compared to what it eventually becomes. At this point, The Shield is still very much a gritty, hyper-energetic cop drama with procedural elements. The format hadn't fully evolved yet, but what's remarkable is how confident the show already feels by this point. The pilot especially, it's incredible television. Vic killing Terry Crowley right at the end is one of the boldest opening statements I've ever seen from a TV show. It immediately tells you this isn't going to be a conventional police drama. At the time though, I actually had mixed feelings about it, because part of me thought the show might have been more morally interesting if Vic had stayed in a grey area longer. But in hindsight, the genius of The Shield is that it shows you exactly who Vic is immediately, and then spends the next 7 seasons tricking you into rooting for him anyway, and thus, season 1 makes for a very interesting rewatch. The opening season lays the groundwork for everything. Vic's corruption, the strike team dynamic, Ass Invaders' political ambition, Claudette and Dutch, and Farmington itself as this boiling, chaotic environment. It's rougher than the later seasons, definitely more episodic, but there's already an intensity to the show that separates it from most crime dramas of its ilk. I think I described season 1 in my review as The Wire's unhinged bastard stepbrother. The shaky cam, the pacing, the grime, the sense that everything could explode at any second. It all works, but compared to later seasons, the storytelling just isn't as layered yet. The emotional consequences haven't fully set in. The long-form tragedy aspect of the series hasn't completely emerged. It's a great foundation, but it's just that, a foundation. Number 5, Season 2. Season 2 feels like the show gaining confidence. The energy is bigger, the storytelling is tighter, and the strike team dynamics become much more interesting. Armadillo is a fantastic antagonist, genuinely unsettling, unpredictable, and dangerous in a way that pushes Vic into increasingly reckless territory. And this is where you start to see the show flirt with serialization more aggressively. Like the money train robbery, whatever happened there. Actions carry over, decisions linger, relationships start becoming strained in more meaningful ways. There's also a nastiness to season 2 that I think really works. The show constantly feels like it's threatening to spiral completely out of control. And somehow it never quite jumps the shark, which is always a fear I had watching it. It's one of the most impressive things about The Shield overall. So many storylines sound ridiculous on paper, but because the characters feel grounded, the show keeps getting away with it. You also start seeing more cracks in the strike team itself. Lem's conscience becomes more important. Shane's impulsiveness becomes more dangerous. Vic's leadership starts looking less heroic and more manipulative. It still feels somewhat transitional compared to the truly elite seasons, but season 2 is where The Shield starts feeling like more than just a really good cop show. Number 4, Season 4. I think Season 4 is massively underrated, and I struggle with putting it behind Season 3. I kind of feel like I should have put this in 3rd place now. A lot of people treat it like the weird middle season sandwiched between the Money Train fallout and the Kavanaugh arc. But honestly, I think it has one of the clearest identities in the entire series. This is the Glenn Close season, the Anthony Anderson season, the asset forfeiture season. And thematically, it's one of the most interesting years of the show because it zones out from individual corruption and starts examining institutional corruption more broadly. Perhaps one could argue it's become too serialized, too focused on a single overarching villain and a celebrity guest character, and trying a kind of storyline that might better be suited for the likes of The Wire. But because it's all happening in a single season that's doing its own separate different thing, it works. It's good. It's part of its divisive reputation. It's one I'd really enjoy rewatching. Glenn Close's character was superb, and Anthony Anderson is also fantastic here. Crucially, this season begins dismantling the strike team. The money train robbery hangs over everything. Shane becomes increasingly unstable. Trust starts eroding. It feels like the beginning of the end. Season 4 also acts as a bridge between old The Shield and late stage The Shield. It still has some of that earlier fun and chaos, but the darkness is becoming much heavier now. The consequences are sticking harder. You can feel the walls slowly starting to close in. Number 3. Season 3. Season 3 is where the show really becomes addictive. The money train fallout is phenomenal because the explosion of unintended consequences transforms the strike team from this unified rogue squad into a paranoid, rotting group held together by fear and greed, each suspecting each other, for example, when some money goes missing. Aceveda and Dutch suspect the strike team's involvement in the money train heist, and meanwhile the Armenian mob is out for revenge. Everyone feels compromised. Everyone feels exhausted. Everyone's firefighting the fallout of the money train robbery so much that they begin to ponder whether it was even worth it in the first place. And then you've got Shane and Mara, which becomes one of the most important relationships in the entire series, her destabilizing the group and cementing the wedge between Shane and Vic. Aceveda's storyline this season is also incredibly bold. I've never seen anything like it on television. Horrific, uncomfortable, and very ugly. Season 3 also nails that feeling of escalation without becoming unbelievable. The strike team are digging themselves deeper and deeper into a hole, but it all feels organic. Every bad decision grows naturally from previous bad decisions. And by the end of the season, you can already sense that these people are doomed. They just don't realize it yet. Number 2. Season 7. Season 7, the final season, is devastating television. Not fun, necessarily, not the most rewatchable season, but emotionally crushing in a way very few shows ever achieve. It starts off at a similar level to Season 6, but snowballs and snowballs, and the final few episodes are devastating. I get traumatic flashbacks whenever I hear the phrase, family meeting. This is the season where the Shield finally strips away every illusion surrounding Vic Mackey. For years, the show hoodwinked both the audience and Vic himself into believing there's still some noble core inside him. That maybe he's brutal, maybe he's corrupt, maybe he crosses lines, but ultimately he's still protecting people. He's putting away scum and he puts his life on the line for his team. Season 7 destroys that fantasy. Watching Vic and Ronnie go at it with Shane was terrific stuff, and once Shane goes on the run, the show becomes absolutely relentless. Walter Goggins is unbelievable here. Truly one of the greatest performances I've seen in television. The desperation, the guilt, the love for his family. He makes Shane horrifying but tragic at the same time. It's just so bleak. The situation with him, Mara, their kid, and the yet-to-be-born child, that no matter what he's done, how far he's gone, you still feel pity for the man. And man, the way it all ends. Shane killing his family is so dark, so grim. Not because it's shocking for the sake of it, but because the show spends so much time trapping him emotionally beforehand, closing in the walls so you know he's gonna have to make a heavy decision, but you don't expect that. Then you've got Ronnie being betrayed by Vic, and honestly that might be Vic's most unforgivable moment in the entire series. Ronnie was ready to run. Vic kept him there, said they'll run together if all else fails. Vic convinced him to trust the plan, and then he tosses him to the dogs to save himself. The most genius ending of any of the characters, though, belongs to Vic himself. Prison would have been fine, but a little predictable. Instead, the show gives him exactly what hurts most. A life stripped of meaning. No family. No strike team. No streets. No adrenaline. No respect. No badge. Just a desk job. A man built for chaos, trapped in a cubicle like a wild animal caged in a zoo. And that final shot is perfect because it leaves just enough ambiguity. Is Vic planning something? Is he going back to the streets? Is he trying to feel alive again? Or is the point simply that he can never stop being Vic Mackey? that after everything, the monsters still exist, ready for the next harebrained scheme. And at number 1, it's season 5. I mean, it was always going to be season 7 or season 5 at number 1, right? And for me, season 5 is where the Shield ascends into greatness. This is the season where every strength the show had been developing suddenly clicks all into place at once. The pacing, the tension, the serialization, the paranoia, the emotional stakes, and the performances. And the biggest reason for that is Forrest Whitaker as Lieutenant Kavanaugh. What a character! Kavanaugh completely changes the energy of the show. He's manipulative, obsessive, psychologically invasive, deeply intelligent, but also increasingly unstable himself. And as sleazy as he is, technically he's right. Vic is a monster. The strike team are corrupt. Kavanaugh is trying to bring down cop killers. But Whitaker plays him in such an unnerving, invasive way that you still desperately want Vic to escape him. That's what makes season 5 so genius. It forces you to confront your own attachment to Vic Mackey. Why are we rooting for this guy? Why do we want him to survive? And beyond Kavanaugh, this is the season where the strike team finally start collapsing internally beyond repair. Lem wearing the wire, Vic and Shane being confronted about Terry's murder. It's just such a tight season that is really entertaining. So much so that I watched like 4 or 5 episodes in one night, only stopping because I had work in the morning. And the pacing is unbelievable. Storylines that other shows would stretch across entire seasons are burned through in just a few episodes, like Lem wearing the wire. That's over and done with after like 2 episodes, and we then jump to Kavanaugh's next plan to thwart the strike team when he takes up shop in the barn. The death of Lem hits hard. The show spends the entire back half of the season dangling hope in front of you. Maybe they'll save him from jail. Okay, maybe he'll go to prison, but he'll be kept safe from Antoine Mitchell. Maybe he might make it to Mexico. But again, just like Shane's shocking ending, you don't expect Lem to get blown up by one of his closest friends. Season 5 takes everything the series has been building towards and executes it at the absolute highest level possible. It's intense, it's tragic, intelligent, emotionally brutal television. And for me, it's not just easily the best season of The Shield, but one of the greatest seasons of television ever made. Do you agree that season 5 is the best of The Shield? Let me know down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.